How did you get started doing all of this and why?
Well, the the journey actually started after I lost my son in 2016 from unknown causes. And like we was talking about earlier, that it started before then. Like the real journey started way before then. But I'm gonna start where my son was overdosed in 2015, October 31st, and his anniversary was just a couple of days ago. Um, when my after my son passed away, my mother passed away 2 years after that, 2 years and 1 month after that, on my grandmother's birthday. And what that ended up happening, man, is that just like any man, you don't want to admit that you're hurt, and everything becomes a fight after that, survival of the fittest. Something that I've always been used to is surviving. I told myself, like, um, I'm not going to let this destroy me. And little did I know, man, that the journey, the grief journey, it did destroy me. It took everything away from me. But most of it was due to my own bad decisions. Like I left looking for a change only to run into more problems. Then eventually I lost everything. I lost my company. I lost my home. I lost everything. Um, Came back to Colorado, bounced around on people's couches. And the more and more I fought, the more and more I went down that rabbit hole till one day I found myself in the middle of the desert about ready to take my life. And in that moment, as they would say, divine intervention, right? Um, this voice came to me and showed me a different way. And we can dive deeper into it. I'm just giving you the shorter rundown. Um, and when I finally got my mind to where it was, there was this new version of me. And that's how it all started, man. This thing called grief grabbed a hold of me and became my mentor, became my first love. And I started a nonprofit called Memories of Us. I started podcasting. I started wanting to connect with other men like myself. One, to learn, and two, I wanted to explore what this thing was, right? And it took me along this journey, man, of healing, of understanding, of not being afraid to tell people that I was hurt. And this gift began to manifest itself, and it began to make room for me. And everything else, man, everything else has been this beautiful journey of just learning, wanting to serve and wanting to speak life into other men, but also educating women on how men grieve. Because grief is such a foreign language to men and some women out there, that is important that we learn how to articulate what's going on with us. And so that's just that little small portion right there. And, like I said, I'm an open book, man. So much that went into that, that goes into the work that I do. And I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to do the things that I do.
Do you think sometimes that when men are going through the grief process, they think that they have to go through it alone because they are men?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, since children, men are taught not to cry, right? We're taught to express our to suppress our emotions, not to express them. We're taught that no one cares. And life would teach us the rest of it. Like life would teach us that, hey, no one cares what you're going through. Suck it up, man up, keep moving forward, right? And so we begin to mask ourselves. And in turn, we develop trust issues with people because it's normally the people that use what we're going through against us is the people that say that they love us the most. So that is why most men, well, majority of the men will feel as if I have to do it alone. I am safer doing it on my own. Because if I bring you in, you're just going to find a way to use it against me. Trust me, I know. I've had my stuff used against me as well. And so, having that understanding helps me pivot in conversations with other men. This is why the addiction rate, the suicide rate, the homeless rates against men are through the roof, because we feel like we don't have anyone. And that's a very, very dark place to be when you feel like you got to go out and face the world alone.
Yeah, I look at it from like, because we're both men and we're not that far off in age. And I look at it as I've been told for so long that I have to be a man and man up and fight for everything in this world, right? And we have a lot of people who would say that there's like this joke, right? Like men are not allowed to experience any other emotion but anger, and women can experience every emotion but anger. All
Yeah.
right. And then you have some of these men who maybe are thinking, okay, I can't express this. I have to figure it out, but we aren't given the tools to figure it out. Then how can they ultimately figure it out? And that's why I think some of them get stuck and they're like, okay, I can't carry this burden anymore. And then they fall into depression, they unalive themselves, they do drastic things. But one thing you shared earlier today that sometimes gets forgotten is that we don't take time for ourselves,
Right.
right? We can give time or make time for everyone else, but when it's like, Tony, take 2 days. Like, oh, train, I got to do this and I got to do that. This person's texting me, this person's calling me. Tony, take a couple of days. Like, I know I've caught myself doing that. Like, when my friend passed away, I took a moment to truly experience. I was like, oh my God, my friend is gone.
Hmm.
But then in the back of your mind, you're like, you got to get back to work. You got to do this. We don't ever take time for ourselves. Why do you think we spend more time trying to cater to others than ourselves when we're grieving?
Because it's our nature. It is our nature. Like, so men function well, better when we feel valued, when we feel needed. That's part of that provider and that protective nature that we have. It's as if no matter what we go through, if we see our families hurt, we have to come up with a solution to keep them from hurting. So this is why we push everything to the side. We won't take the time for ourselves, right? Because we go, if I do not help them get through this, then you know what I'm saying, they may look at me like I'm a failure. So I don't have time to take to myself. I got to be able to make sure that they're okay first. This is our first priority. This has always been our first priority. I have to make sure that my sister, I got to make sure that my brothers, I got to make sure that the people around me are okay. So I still got to go out here. I got to bring in a paycheck. I got to bring in the food. I got to make sure those bills are taken care of. I'm gonna let them take care of what they need to and things over there. And I'm just gonna keep moving. I have to keep moving because for one, here's the other dark side to it. I don't want you to think that I'm weak. I don't want to lose value in your place because for one, soon as I stop doing this over here, in my mind, you may look at me and go, "What is the purpose of you being here?" Right? You're not taking care of the things, you're not holding up to your end of the bargain as being a man. So in turn, no, I don't have time for myself. Why do I have time when I have to take care of this over here? Right? This is the mentality that most men have. I have to make sure that I hold my place in your world because that is how I function.
That's a scary place to be in where your emotions are being seen by you as a weakness and is preventing you from being the man that other people want you to be. I'm
Exactly.
wondering for you, when you were going through your grief, because now that you put that in perspective, I'm trying to think back and say, did I feel less of a man? Did I think I was going to be less of a man if I took time to grieve? I would say yes.
Yes.
Would you feel less of a man if you took time to grieve? If so, why?
Um, Back in my younger days, yes. For the simple fact of there was just my life was not a place to take time, right? I constantly had to move. I mean, I was in a gang for over 20 years, right? And so grieving, no, man, I look, it was like we have to go get our get back. I don't have time to grieve over this. If I if I said, look, hey, homies, you know what I'm saying? I need some time to wrap my head up around this. They would look at me, oh man, stop being a pussy or a bitch or something like that, right? Man, we got to go do our thing. We got to go get our get back. These dudes that killed our homies. We got to go get our get back. So no, wasn't having no time. Um, Even after my mom passed away, along with my son, I still didn't take that time because people expected me to be the strong one. Now I knew people were watching me. They was watching to see what I was going to do. So what I did, I manned up. It was easy to put on a mask. I don't. I'm going to church. I'm around. You know what I'm saying, men and men's groups and things like that. They're still watching me to see what I'm doing. I have a younger sister. You know, she was like, she wanted to understand and everything else. And she was like, every time I turned around, she was like, bro, I need somebody to talk to. So I can't really, you know what I'm saying? Because when you call me, my focus needs to be on you. Remember, I didn't pick up the phone and call you. So I can't make anything about myself. And she needed me. And so I was like, yeah, I need to be there for my little sister because, she's hurting too. Um, the other downside to it is that inside I was empty. I was totally empty because I had been there for everyone else, but I realized that it wasn't reciprocated. And so now that I'm older and I've gotten into this field, becoming a practitioner, I realize the importance of taking the time to myself now to be able to grieve. Sometimes to just sit in silence, you know, and know that not everybody's going to understand. And I'm okay with that because maybe, they never experienced the same things that I have, but I do know the time. And I've had to reclaim my time. You know, you and I was talking earlier about this. I've had to reclaim my time and and so people expect, people see everything that I do and they're like, still their mentality is he's a man. Let me, what I'm saying? I need to make sure that he's still doing these things right here. And finally I was like, no. And they were like, but no, I'm reclaiming my time. I need this in order for me to be better for you. I need you to not even, what I'm saying? I need you to allow me the time that I need to process and heal and actually grieve. So, and you and I talked about this. Practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. If you're going to preach giving people time and having time for yourself, then practice it with other people as well, even those of us that's in the field. I can't be strong for everyone anymore if I'm not strong for myself. So there's a switch that happens. Most people get stuck in that idea of survival mode, right? So that's the difference. Survival mode meaning that, hey, I have to keep it moving. I don't have time because the first time I show weakness, what I'm saying, life is gonna hand me my butt, and so I have to always stay strong. Now, mm-mm, you can consider me weak all you want, but I guarantee you, what I'm saying, I'm going to take my time to heal because that's been a crucial part of my journey is healing.
One thing that I learned to do was to take time for myself to let my emotions out.
Right.
Right? Like I'm not a person that I would put it on social media. I'm the type of person that I would sit, reflect, and then if I have to cry, I'll cry. If I need to express a different type of emotion, I'll do that too. I have a punching bag at home and I love to box. So I
Mhm.
can get all the frustration, the anger, the denial, everything through that punching bag, right? But I had to take that time because I began to realize when I keep things inside, my chest starts to feel warm. So I can
Uh-huh.
feel my body reacting to the pent up emotions. But one thing I struggled with was when people were telling me what to do with my emotions. And I'll give you an example. Someone once said that, how can you do this? You should be crying, you should be yelling, you should be kicking, you should be screaming. I told the person, that's not me. I'm not the type of person to stand in Times Square and yell at the top of my lungs. That works for some people. I've always found it strange, but that works for some people. But for me, that doesn't work for me. I wouldn't go to the person who just lost their father and who fell to the ground crying and telling them to get up, and that's not my place, right? Because that's how they're
Yeah.
expressing it.
Right.
From a male's perspective, since we struggle enough just to express it, how hurtful do you think it is when we're trying to express it and someone says, no, you're expressing it wrong?
Well, it's very hurtful, right? Because when, as men, we don't have anybody to tell us or show us what healthy grieving looks like. And so, and this is from generations and things like that. This is from generations from long before we even came around. It was the women telling us what men were supposed to be. It was never the men telling us that, hey, it's okay not to be okay. The women often, because women was raising their young men to be the type of men that they wanted, right? Through failed relationships and things like that. And so when they saw us crying and things like that, it was the women that was like, hey, I'm raising you to be a man, right? You ever hear that phrase before? So and when we get older, it is hurtful when someone goes, no, that's not what you're supposed to do, right? Um, and so now we got to fight against that nature. We got to fight against that nature. So now you just pretty much told me I have no outlet. So now I'm going to grab me a drink or something to help numb this pain. Once you get a taste of that reality where you can be numb and not have to feel, well, it becomes addictive, right? Now this is what you're going to chase. You're going to chase that numbness. And when see, so what other people see, they see you starting to drink, they see you starting to do other things, not understanding that the mentality of it is that no, I'm just trying to get a release from this world, right? I want to be in a world where I'm not hurting anymore. And the only way that I can maintain my masculinity is this way. I have to express myself through anger. And so now here's the other side to it is perception versus reality. Anger is a way that men cry. It's the way that we cry. It's the way that we've always been taught, right? So now can you imagine if more men stepped up? Me, I express myself. I have no choice to, right? I'm not going to allow myself to be any other way. So yeah, I want to put it on social media. I want people to see as a man, as a man, I cry. I hurt. Why? Because we hide it too much from people. We hide it from people. And this is why they have a hard time figuring out what's going on with us because we hide it. So, no, we live in the day. Look, I'm not saying it's for everyone. I really am not. But I am that dude that I will sit up there. I will tell you exactly what's going on with me because I don't need you guessing. I don't need you guessing about what's going on with me. I'm going to be upfront and tell you I'm hurting. I'm crying. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Physically, I'm fine, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, I'm exhausted. That way, if you hear those words and you still choose to um, try to push me outside of there, then I'm allowed to give you some sort of pushback. Because for one, you don't get to tell me anymore. I get to reclaim me, right? As a man and as a human being, I get to reclaim me, my authentic self, what I'm born and equipped with. And if you, I'm sorry, if you do not understand that, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. But if you choose not to understand it, best believe I'm gonna put up a boundary on you and go, okay, you need to stay up outside of here until I'm ready to allow you to come in. Because for one, this is my choice.
Was that a hard lesson for you to learn?
It was a hard lesson for me to learn. It was a really hard lesson for me to learn because I had to fight against everything I had ever known my whole entire life, right? Survival of the fittest. Can't be weak out here. You get killed real quick. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, you lost many of your homeboys. Hey, we got to keep it moving. I have to fight. I have to fight for everything. And no matter what, no one's going to come save you, man. No one's going to come save you, Tony. So you'd have been homeless. Yeah, you're going to have to get through that. You're going to have to figure that part out. You can't run home. You can't depend on nobody else. Remember, you know what I'm saying? These people are looking at you, you know what I'm saying? And they're just glad that it's not them. What's the one thing that separates you from them? They still got homes to go to. You can't go sleep on their couches, man. They got families. So I had to learn after I changed my mindset, right? I had to learn a lot. But that's where the in-depth healing comes from as well. I said, in order for me to be a better version of myself, I better heal the past. So I no longer carry that hurt and those scars with me. It becomes a really good story, but it's inspiring in as well, right? Because we tell about our lives to help the next person. It becomes their survival guide. I've survived and I had to go through this. So let me share to you what I use in order to get to where I am. Because if I can inspire you to go out there and heal and reclaim and start to become your authentic self and be really honest with yourself, it changes the way that the world looks at you after that. And healing does something else to you as well. It begins to set you on a path of treating yourself well, right? And now this is where everything begins to make sense because once you start treating yourself well, it makes it real hard for other people to mistreat you. You'll never go back to the person that you was. You'll never allow someone else to go, that you can't do that. No, you won't do it. Why? Because you now understand the value in you and your mind and what you want to do. And on the other side of that, the people around you are happier and healthier because now you are the person that you need to be for yourself and for them.
That is a good point because we let people tell us what to be. And I think from like a man's perspective, and I highlight that just because it's such a struggle to not want to be the man when you need help,
Uh-huh.
right? Like you're trying to be tough, you're trying to be stoic, you're trying to be brave, you're trying to be all these buzzwords, but the one thing you're not being is honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I need help. I'm hurt. I'm damaged. I'm not as strong today. I'm not as brave today. I'm not as courageous today. Today, I can't do what I would be able to do yesterday because I don't have it in me. And
Right.
people need to understand that. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to understand that even the bravest of men need time to sometimes find their courage?
Real simple. Um, the people are around you. Well, let me just say it this way. When you're the one that everyone is used to calling when they're going through something, It's kind of hard to imagine you going through something. And so what people have a tendency of doing, if they see you hurting, they often go, I gotta get that person back to where they used to be because I'm not used to seeing this person like this, right? So because they're confused. How is it that you're the strong one and yet you're hurting over here? Mm-mm. I gotta get him back, man. I gotta get him back because I'm gonna need him eventually. You know what I'm saying? And uh-uh. I can't let him go down this hole. So, hey man, look, you want to go out to the bar, you want to go get some women, you want to go do this, you want to go do that, right? Because they're not used to seeing that version of you. It's not that it's hard, it's that it's confusing. It's confusing to the person who don't understand that's used to seeing you being the one that's fighting, seeing you being the one that's always there for everyone, right? So it's like a foreign concept to people. They don't know what to do because you're the one that's always helping them.
What do you think we can do to help other men understand the grieving process and what we require from them?
Being honest, you said it, brother. Being honest, right? Look, when more men begin to express themselves and men can actually see you cry, it's a strange thing for another man to see you and be like, ooh. And then when you begin to articulate what you're actually going through, that's when most men would go, I can understand. Think about it. Think about it this way, right? Or look at how life is going right now. More men are starting to step up and go, I'm not okay. I am depressed. I am riddled with anxiety. I am struggling in life. I am, you know what I'm saying? I am fighting my demons on a day-to-day basis. They are now starting to come out and talk about, you know, being SA when they're children, right? They're talking about the abuse that they used to go through when you know what I'm saying, from being in from parents or uncles or being bullied in school, things that men didn't normally talk about. This is how we change everything. When more men can see us and can relate to what we're going through, we open up the doors for us to have honest conversations and to allow men or allow an atmosphere for men to feel comfortable and go, I am hurting. I have not look, man, I was watching a video the other day, and this man came out and he says, man, y'all can call me weak. Y'all can say whatever you want to about me. He goes, but to be honest with you, I am hurting, I am angry, I am confused, and I need help. He goes, so there's some things in my life that have come up, and I'm looking to find a therapist, and I don't know where to look. So and this man, he was like, and if any one of you out here can see past the criticism and can give me some help, I would greatly appreciate that because I am not doing well. Man, thousands of men came up from across the world and was like, brother, let me know if you find somebody that can do that because I need a therapist too. Thousands. And I was reading the comments, man, and I literally broke down, started crying. I said, now that's what I'm talking about right there. That's why I do what I do. That's why more men out there that are stepping up to the plate and doing the things that that's why we do what we do. Because it's time for a change. Now, the other side to it is when that man starts to get help and he starts to heal, look at the people that he starts to surround himself with. Everything changes. He will begin to surround himself with good, strong men that can mentor him and walk with that individual. And then look at how his life changes. Look at his family. His family's coming back. Oh my God. his significant other, his children, his community. Man, did you see such and such? Oh my God. And they want to walk with him. They want to walk with him, right? They're proud of that person because they're just as confused as you are, as you be, you know what I'm saying, when you first start off in this. And to see that, there's nothing more beautiful than a man who is healing himself, who's
100%.
yeah, honest with himself, who can articulate like, hit look here, I'm not okay right now. Can you sit with me?
There's a video, Tony, that I saw. I think it was on TikTok, I think, or may have been YouTube. It was a group of men getting together doing exactly what you just described. They would
Mhm.
come up to, I think it was, there's like they formed a circle, and each man would enter that circle and say, I am not okay. This is why. And they would come in together, group hug, support each other. Next person would come in. I am not okay. And this is why. To see after the first couple of men, to see the men break down and cry in support because they knew they were next and they knew they got someone to listen to them. They got many people to listen to them. To see the camaraderie, to see the men get together. Because in the beginning, you see a little bit of the hesitation, right?
Uh-huh.
But once you see three or four people go up there and you know that you're next and you know that it's a supportive, safe, courageous place, I could seeing those men there was truly, truly inspiring because, like we discussed, right? They were honest. One man, he went up there before he can even get out the words, he started bawling,
Uh-huh.
crying, because he knew what he was about to say, right? But it was so painful for him to even get it out. And he's looking around. He's like, I can do this. I can say it.
Yeah.
And it goes to your point, right? It's one of the most courageous things that a man can ever do is to say that I need help. And speaking of that, I know that you have men's grief support.
Hmm.
How take us through that? How are you assisting the men through that? And what are some of the success stories that you see?
Well, it's just what you just said, right? When I first started this, I knew in my heart that this was what is something I was going to do. And I knew that having an atmosphere for men was going to be a challenge, but it was doable. And so that's what I did. I began to create like a circle for us. And I would go, what's said inside of this stays here. And men would look and go, I'm kind of skeptical, right? I'm kind of skeptical. I go, yeah, I understand. I understand. And so what I began to do, I began to open up the doors because here they are looking at me, right? Like, what does this dude know anything about what I'm going through? Well, let me tell you something. I would open up the doors and be like, when I was 6, I was molested. I began selling drugs. I grew up in an alcoholic family. I used to get beat on a daily basis by my mom because she was raising a man. I used to go out in the streets and fight all the doggone time. Got kicked out of school for shooting people. I had to move away from home when I was 15. Had to walk away from my oldest and my youngest daughter at the age of 17 and the age of at the age of 25 because my lifestyle was not no place. I've been homeless over 20 times. I've been shot over 22 times. I've been to prison for 5 years for a crime I never committed. I've lost all of my friends. I've lost my parents, my brother, and my son. And I almost didn't make it. And men would look and go, whoa, dude, oh man, look, I lost such and such. And it would open up the doors, right? And it'd be people that you would see walking around thinking that, you know what I'm saying, bikers and stuff like that. They was that you would see going down the street and you would think that they're the most strongest men walking around. And I would tell them, in here, just like iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other. I will walk with you in order for you to walk with him. This is deeper than just what you see right here. This is where we build relationships of men who understand what you're going through. May not have the answers for you, but they're willing to walk with you if you're willing to have them. The second rule is be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with us. If you're struggling with your mental health, if you're struggling with addiction, if you're struggling with the thoughts of taking your life, be honest with us. Because when you begin to hide things, we don't know how to support you in those different things. And so that's where it all begins. I've held men in my arms while they cried it out, man. I brought in punching bags and go, let's beat it up, let's beat it up. And they go, man, I'm so tired. I know, I know. And I would go, how many of us have been in here so tired that, you know what I'm saying, that you just don't want to do it anymore? It's not a physical tired, it's a mental tired. And I would lead off and go, if God was standing across from you right now, what would you tell them in this state of tiredness that you're in? And they would go, a lot of them, 90% of them, 96% of them would go, I'll tell them I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be strong anymore. Right? I don't want to continuously having to fight for everything to have a place to prove to myself that I'm still a man. Most of them have said that, like, I'll just tell them I want to be done. Give up on me. And I would go, now, if your family, and I would look at them like, now we're going to take God out of the equation. And I would go, if your wife or your significant other, your kids were sitting across from you right now, what would you tell them? 100% of those men that came through that had children, had a significant other, had said, I would tell them, I'm sorry. You know what that tells us? These men feel like failures every day of their life. They're apologizing to their friends and their significant others and their children because they feel like they failed them. They said, I would tell them, I am sorry. And I would go, why? They go, because I don't feel this is coming from a man's mind. I don't feel as if I am the man that I need to be in order to lead my family because I'm struggling. I said, well, why don't you go home and ask him? Instead of assuming, go home and ask him. And it took them to have the courage. I said, no, you have to have the courage because if they do not know, they'll never understand what you're going through. And within 2 weeks' time, all of them came back and go, man, you're not going to believe what they said. They were so worried about me, you know what I'm saying? And everything else because they didn't know how, they didn't understand what I was going through. They was worried because I started drinking. I started smoking weed. I started doing drugs and all of these different things. And they were so afraid of losing me because they didn't understand what I was going through. I said, now, how do they feel? They want to see me get help. Isn't it a beautiful thing when people understand what you're going through, when you can admit to yourself that you're hurt?
Absolutely.
That's the benefit of it.
Yeah, we assume as men that no one cares, and there are people that will never care,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
because I honestly believe that it's they were put on this earth to extract and extract without ever giving up any resources. They're just there to consume people until they have no use and they just move on. But our family, our wives, our children, our girlfriends, they're the ones when you go to them. And I learned this lesson the hard way. My girlfriend, she's like, just talk to me, just tell me, right? She just tell me. She's like, life can get busy, but we need to make time for each other. And I was like, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. We can't assume that the other person is too busy because I look at it as if she needed me, I would drop everything for her. And just like how she said, if I need her, she'll drop everything for me. But I think as men, we don't expect that from our women.
No, we don't. We don't. Because this is the way we've always been taught. I have to provide, I have to protect. It's not my place to share my emotions with you, right? We've been conditioned throughout our time, throughout generations and things like that. We've been conditioned to be a certain way because, for one, I still got to put food on the table. My emotions ain't got no place in this. I still got to go out here and work a job that I don't want to go to, but I do it because that's a sacrifice that I would have to make for the people that I love. So at the end of the day, when I come home, the wife isn't asking you how you feeling. They're quickly saying, I hope you had a great day. Let me tell you about my day. It's expected, right? I've been waiting all day for you to come home to tell you about Jimmy Joe at the office and stuff and what he's been doing and what she's been doing. And let me just tell you, I gotta tell you what's been going down the street with the girl down there that's cheating on the dude that come over in the Honda. They know all about this stuff. And we as men, we gotta sit back and we go, baby, I'm sorry. Um, baby, look, I gotta tell you, you know what I'm saying? Today has been a really rough day on me and things like that while she's sitting up there with her wine and carrying on, right? She's about to dump all of this on you. Never once took you into consideration. She didn't know that you had to go into your job that day and got into it with Billy Bob because you know what I'm saying because he did something to you. They don't know that you just got into it with your boss. They don't know that as you was driving home, you know what I'm saying, you got flipped off and got cussed out by somebody. They didn't know that you was at the store and everything, and the guy behind you started talking smack, but you had to man up because you knew that if you punched him in his mouth, that you go into jail, right? They didn't know that you just got the news that your friend passed away. They didn't ask you none of that. And you sitting up there holding back, fighting back everything that you know. They didn't know that you stopped off at the liquor store to grab yourself something to drink because you knew what was going to happen when you got home. So while she's sitting around enjoying her wine, she's looking at you pour your glass of cognac in that little glass with the ice cubes up in there, taking a little sip while you listen to her gossip. And inside you then fell apart. And you're still falling apart.
And then she doesn't even know,
Doesn't even know.
but you're just sitting there drinking, and then it becomes an addiction, which a
Yeah,
lot of men fall into following grief, right?
yeah. Well, and the crazy part about it is, Trey, is that they'll be the first ones that say, you drinking all the time. You don't do nothing when you get home. You know what I'm saying? On the weekends when you have off, the only thing you want to do is sit around and drink and watch football or play video games and this, that, and another. You're not doing this, that, and another. Why am I with you and this, that, and another? And we sit around and we just go like this, like, wow, I can't even tell you how my day was. I can't tell you that these last 2 years, you know what I'm saying, how it's been for me. Just for one, you've just told me rape in so many ways. You the one that claim that you love me, but you don't even care what I'm going through. It's all about you. you have to be the center of my world. I don't have anything outside of this because as soon as I do, I either got to be cheating or I got to be up to no good. I don't even have a chance to even breathe or explain anything that's going on. I can't tell you that I went and sat down there by the lake, you know what I'm saying, and everything, and just cried it out because I can't tell you. I have to go home and tiptoe around my feelings in fear of what you're going to feel about me. That's a hurtful place. And then here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. Although all of this stuff is going on and you are oblivious to it, because although, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on, but you're not going to believe me. But you're going to believe me. You're going to say, I don't know what happened, when you got to read my obituary because I've just taken my life. Now you're concerned. I wasn't enough. Why couldn't he come to me? Why didn't he open up and say anything to me? I can't believe he did this. He left us with this, that, and the other. This is what normally happens. Listen to the stories, man. When someone takes their life, listen to what the women say. And replay what I just said to you right there. Imagine how long it took. And you're still oblivious to the fact of he didn't have to be this way. And all you had to do was create an atmosphere for him to be able to talk to you. Here's the other challenge. The atmosphere that men need is often a place of trust, and trust is earned, right? And what I mean by that, more times than not, when a woman says, I want you to open up to me, to be able to talk to me, I want you to tell me what's going on in your world, right? It's a setup for the most part. Because soon as I do, a lot of times this is what women do. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're going through, but this is what I'm going through. So you've just now told me again, even after you just tricked me into wanting to open up to you and things like that. You pretty much just told me by cutting me off and pretty much making this about you. You don't care nothing about what I'm going through. You just wanted to see if I was going to do it. You wanted me to get to a place to where I was ready to talk to you, but now that you got me ready to talk to you, you don't want me to talk about what's going on with me. You want me to talk about what's going on with you. After that, I'll never open up to you ever again. That's something that you don't have to worry about. The downside to that is that now we have to look at everybody else the same way. Because this person I'm intimate with, I'm close to this person. And if she's not willing to do it, what makes you think I'm going to trust you to do it?
How do you think, Tony, then we can prepare our women or other people to be more understanding of our feelings?
By expressing ourselves. See, a lot of things that we do is learn behavior. So, in order to help women understand what we're going through, we have to learn how to express ourselves. Once we begin to do that, just like everything else in the world, we learned about women's rights. We let women go out there and do whatever it is because now, they're like, I'm a 10 and this, that, another, right? Think about that for a minute. I'm a 10. No matter what you look like, you're a 10. They got to have self-esteem, right? They got to go out there and chase the bag. They don't need a man anymore. Back in the day, they were like, no, we need a man to raise a family and this and another. Right now, they're like, we don't need no man anymore. So just the same way that how we did that, now we get to change the narrative. You might not want to hear what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. You get enough men coming out there, more women will start to go, wow, our men are really struggling. Maybe we should start paying attention. When we start raising awareness about why the rates of suicide and addiction and mental health struggles are through the roof with men, women have to pay attention because they are constantly saying, we're all the good men. We're right here. We're struggling like hell, but we're here. You just don't look, you just don't want me because I come with damage. I come with wounds that you're not prepared to deal with because you haven't dealt with yours. So when they start looking at us as the leaders of our communities and they start to see us express ourselves, then they will follow our lead. But until we can get more men to step up and begin to really express themselves and say, I'm not okay, these women are going to keep expecting us to be what we're not.
Because we have to be visible to them because a lot of times they're not even seeing us when we're in that state. That's an amazing point you made. It's like I'm suffering, I need help, but now I'm invisible because of the help I need. But when I'm strong and powerful, everybody sees me.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And that's the key to it. Terrain, we live in an age nowadays to where we can actually change the narrative of everything that's going on. We live in the age of technology. We do podcasting. We can reach people through video and audio. We got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikToks. What? You mean to tell me that you can't make a minute and a half video expressing how you feel and just putting it out there and not being ashamed of what people are going to say about you? You're just expressing yourself. You get more men to do that. You get more men to see that. They be like, ooh, I can relate to it. That brother's, let me put up a video, right? And so you may have a person who has 300 followers. You may have another one who has 2,000 followers. You might have another one who, and so forth and so forth. But everything that we do is connected to everything else. So out of your 300 followers, I may get 20, but out of that 20, they may have a good following over there. They may come through and express themselves. They may share that video. And if so, I'm going to come back and I've shared that video across mine because I want my people to see it as well. Somebody else sees that, share that across there. They're going to make a video. Next thing you know, now you got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of men out there going, you know what I'm saying? And women have to pay attention to us. I can still be strong. I just got to be a different version of strong. That's it. I don't have to not constantly go out here and fight all the time. Maybe if you understood that sometimes I need a break. Sometimes I need to just sit back and I need to grieve. I need to heal my trauma. Because if I don't heal my trauma, I'm going to dump it all over you. When people start to see that, they're like, no, let that man heal his trauma. As a matter of fact, that woman that's by my side, she's gonna walk with me and she's gonna respect me that much more because the weight that I carry on my shoulders, she's gonna understand I'm pushing it off. I'm pushing it off so I can walk with you strong. And when I see my brother going down the street or see that young lady, I can look at them and go, I see you. I see you. Hey man, let me give you a hug. Hey young lady, grab my hand. Let me walk with you and keep you safe. I want you to feel safe with me because I understand where you're coming from right now. So let me get you to a place where you can feel safe. Because for one, we begin to be the things or the individuals that we needed when we didn't feel safe because we decided to heal. See what I'm saying? It changes everything, Terrain. Everything.
So, Tony, as we close, give me some tips that we can share with the audience to continue to get comfortable expressing what we need to the people that we need it from.
You said it best. You said it. Get comfortable with expressing yourself. If You are comfortable with going out there and buying your meth and your heroin and your fentanyl and things like that. You can, it takes more bravery to go out there and do that. How about switch it around? How about be brave enough to tell people that you're hurt? How about be brave enough to tell people that you're not okay? What you think? What you think people are going to say? They're going to call you weak. It ain't nothing that you've never been called before. So, and but we also need the support of our communities. We also need the support of our families and things like that. Encourage your men to express themselves, to articulate what's going on. If you see them struggling, call them on it. Don't corner them, just call them on it. And then if you're going to say, if when you want to talk, I'm here for you, make sure you are a person of your word. Make sure that you are there for them when they want to talk at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when they're struggling the most and not knowing what's going on in their life right now. Make sure you're there for them. Be honest. If you're not going to be there for that person, don't open up the doors, because you'll do more damage to that person by doing that than anything else. So be honest with them. For the men out there, keep pushing the narrative. Keep pushing that you're not okay. It's time that they listen to us like we listen to them. Because together, we can change the way that the world sees everyone. We're healthier, we're happier, and divorce rates go down.